My name is Julianne, 42, and for nearly 2 decades, I served as a professor of history at a prestigious institution in Seattle. My life with my husband Marcus felt like a well-oiled machine. The historic craftsman home, the meticulously curated schedules, and the quiet expectation of a long, predictable future. We were the couple our friends envied, the ones who seemed to have mastered the art of stability. But as I would eventually learn, stability is often just a thin veneer covering deep, structural rot. The realization didn't come with a bang, but with a faint electronic chirp. It was a Tuesday evening, and Marcus was in the home office. His phone, usually tucked away, sat on the kitchen island. A notification flashed on the screen. "Check-in confirmed. The hidden corner suite. You'll love the view, my darling." I hadn't intended to breach his privacy. Our marriage was built on the premise of absolute trust, but that notification felt like a physical strike. I knew the hotel. We had spent our first anniversary there. My hands trembled as I unlocked his phone with our shared date. There were no more secrets, only a year's worth of digital evidence. There were photos of Marcus with a younger woman named Selena, a marketing executive at his firm, documenting stolen weekends in coastal cabins and intimate dinners. He hadn't just been unfaithful. He had been living a double life, meticulously mirroring the very intimacy he had stripped away from me. I placed the phone back, my reflection in the dark window showing a woman I barely recognized, someone whose poise was a hollow mask. The next morning, I poured his coffee with a steady hand. "Enjoy your meeting," I said, watching him leave. Once the door clicked shut, I didn't cry. I called the university to secure a short leave and began to dismantle the architecture of my own deception. I didn't want the chaos of a confrontation fueled by tears. I wanted the truth to speak for itself. I discovered Selena was married to a local venture capitalist named Julianne. Using the same professional precision I applied to my lectures, I contacted Julianne under the guise of arranging a guest lecture series on private equity. I invited him to the very restaurant where Marcus and Selena had planned their next tryst. The evening arrived with a heavy, electric stillness. I wore a sharp, charcoal gray suit that felt like armor. When I arrived, Julian was already seated, a man with intelligent eyes who looked as though he, too, had been living in a curated fog. We spoke of industry trends while I watched the entrance. When Marcus and Selena walked in, looking like figures in a romantic painting, the air in the room seemed to vacuum out. Marcus's face went from practiced charm to a mask of absolute terror the moment his eyes met mine, and then shifted to confusion as he saw who I was sitting with. I stood not with the intention of creating a scene, but to provide the clarity that had been denied to us for so long. As Julian turned to see his wife standing beside another man, the truth settled over the table like a leaden shroud. I didn't yell, I simply introduced them. I told the truth in a voice that didn't shake, watched the illusions shatter, and walked out. I didn't leave behind a broken woman. I left behind 2 people who had spent their lives playing at reality, finally forced to face the consequence of their own dishonesty. I moved into a quiet studio overlooking the sound, trading the weight of a historic house for the lightness of an unburdened life. Marcus spent weeks trying to reach me, pleading, bargaining, and even attempting to leverage our social circle. But the man who had traded his integrity for a thrill was a stranger to me. I had stopped protecting his image, and in doing so, I had finally protected my own soul. Months later, I ran into Julian at an industry conference. We didn't dwell on the past. We spoke of our respective rebirths. We were 2 people who had been hollowed out by betrayal, but had chosen to fill the void with our own authenticity. There was no grand rush into a new romance. Only a slow, quiet discovery of someone who valued honesty as much as I did. Now, when I look out at the gray, churning waters of the Pacific, I don't see a life that was lost. I see a life that was reclaimed. I learned that betrayal is not the end of your story. It is merely the closing of a chapter you were never meant to finish. I am no longer defined by the expectations of being a perfect wife. I am defined by the clarity of knowing that my worth is not up for negotiation. I didn't just survive the storm. I learned how to build a life that stands on its own, regardless of the wind. I chose the truth, and for the first time in 17 years, I am finally free.